Hello, welcome to the quick quadratic review lesson. Let's get started, shall we? All right, what is a quadratic? It's a degree 2 equation or function. It will have an x squared in it. It won't have an x cubed, it won't have an x to the fourth. The largest degree will be x squared. It will look like a smile or a frown, depending on what this a is. If a is positive, you're smiling. If a is negative, you're frowning. It's a parabola. It should bring back good memories of algebra for you. A quadratic looks like this in standard form. So here's one in standard form, and you can see that there is technically a 1 right here. So a is 1, you can see that. B is 3, it's the x term, and then c would be -10. All right, so now what we can do is we can ask ourselves, what value of x would fit in here? And there are 3 ways to answer that question. First way to answer that question is by graphing. If you graph this, it looks like this, and you can see that it crosses the x-axis. It's all about the x-axis here at -5 and 2. The other option to do, and this is like the fail-safe because this always works, is using this equation. Do you remember that from algebra? Hopefully you do. Now you can take your a, your b, and your c, and you can plug into this equation. And then when you solve that out, guess what? You get 2 and -5 again, which is exactly what we got over here if you work that out. Okay, so pause the video, and go and copy this down. All right, the third option to solve this is to factor. Now, when you factor, what you're looking for are numbers that multiply to this, and they have to combine to this, is what I would say for that. And the answer is 5 and -2. 5 and -2 multiply to -10. 5 and -2 combine to +3. How was I able to do that in my head so fast? It's because I know my multiplication. All right, the only options for 10 are 10 and 1 and 5 times 2. And 5 and 2 were able to be used to make +3, which is 5 and -2. And then to finish it off, either this or this is now 0. One of these has to be 0 in order for a multiplication to equal 0. So we say this equals 0, this equals 0, and you get your 2 numbers again when you do your algebra. Number 2. Before we do number 2, we have to make it in standard form, which means set it equal to 0. That is always your first step in solving any quadratic, is to equal it to 0. Once we have that, we can see that a is 1, b is -5, and c is -36. Now, the fail-safe way is to plug it into this equation. Go ahead and pause the video and copy that down. The other option is to factor. And so 36 is the magic number. 36 is 9 times 4. I can use 9 and 4 to make -5. -9 and +4. 9 and -4 would work. And you get the same answers either way you go. For number 3, kind of spell it out here. Step number 1, set it equal to 0. Step number 2, you want a equals 1. So here we have it. I need to take all this stuff and move it over, like terms. And it turns into this. I got my 3x squared. I have my 9x by adding 2. And I've got my 210 by subtracting 110. Now, a is not 1 here, a is 3. So what we can do is we can divide everything by 3. Everything gets divided by 3. Divided by 3, divided by 3, divided by 3, divided by 3. 70 is now the magic number. How about 7 and 10? 7 and 10 work. 7 and 10 can make +3. It's a +10 and a -7. And so those are my answers. Okay. This one was pretty straightforward. This one was pretty straightforward. This is where you can pause, rewind. I'm going fast, I know. This one, we had to move the 12b over, write it in standard form, get rid of this 3 by dividing. Everything gets divided by 3. This is called a double solution. This is 2 plus 2, and this is 2 times 2. So that one just is called a double solution, and it's just b equals minus 2. Here's your work for the next one. I had to rearrange, standard form, divide by 3, factor. Standard form, divide by 3, and factor. Standard form, divide by 4, and factor. These are interesting problems. We could set something up like this. We know the area is length times width. If I could set up a rectangle where, let's say this is the length, and it says the width is 4 less. That's why I did L minus 4. So length and width, length times width equals 192, which is the area, and then go from there. I was able to get my length and width. Number 6, volume is length times width times height. Read the question, they give you the volume. They give you that the length is 4 plus the width. They give you the width. They give you the height is 9. From there, put these together, distribute the W. Again, I'm going fast, but you can pause and catch up. Distribute the 9 now, and you get to here. Now you got standard form. Take away the 9, divide everything by 9, and now we can factor and find our answer. All right, let's go to the worksheet. What I did is I did half of the problems. This is what I was looking for this first problem. You had to use the equation and get some answers. First, you had to make it standard form, then get your A, B, and C, then plug in and get your answers. Number 2, standard form and factor. Standard form, get rid of the 5, and factor. Standard form, move some stuff over, get rid of the 4, divide everything by 4, and factor. This one, it was a quadratic, so standard form, set it equal to 1, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, find your solutions, and then this said what is the sum, so you had to add your solutions together to get 2. Backside, we have a linear pair, so add these to 180, add to 180, standard form, and factor. 11 and 2 multiply to 22, and negative 11 and 2 make negative 9, so that's what we're looking for. In this scenario, both of these answers work. If you plug 11 in, it makes an answer that works, and if you plug negative 2 in, it makes an answer that works. So there are 2 answers in this geometry problem. Next problem. You got the parallel lines. So either the angles in this picture are equal or they add to 180. This is an obtuse, this is acute. Therefore, they will not be equal. They cannot be equal. They add to 180. So we're going to add them to 180. We're going to put into standard form, bring that 180 over. We're going to get rid of this 6, and we're going to factor. All right, good luck.